And I'm going to give the project updates. The first one I want to talk about is the Safer project. We've been making good progress on that, especially under Building Bridge 2. We are finalizing the comments for the second addendum sequence document, and we are planning to go to the Board of Supervisors in early 2025 to accept the document. And we are actively working to finalize easements and property acquisitions with all necessary acquisitions to be completed by December 2025. Yes. And then the next thing is, I'm not sure that many of you know about this, but last December, a citizen came and reported a suspicious looking tank underneath the bridge, Building Bridge 2 in San Anselmo. And we conducted a series of investigations and determined that it was indeed some oil products that were held in the tank, and we need to remove the tank. And right now, because of its condition and its proximity underneath the deck of the bridge, we can't remove it. So we're going to give it some closure in place, and that's going to happen this November. And then once we actually remove the bridge, we will be taking that tank out. So that just came to our attention.
How big is this tank?
You know, I'm not exactly sure how big it is. I haven't seen it myself. I can find out.
This way.
No.
And it's right up against the redwood roots and the concrete. It's actually touching. Can't tell you how far back it goes, with 7 feet. But it's
So from the Carol Page's motioning, looks like maybe like a 55-gallon drum or something size.
you can see it just by walking along the edge of the concrete. Oh, you can't because the fence is there.
Yeah, anyway, so, yeah, that's the thing.
And then just wanted to let you know that we've been working with the town of San Anselmo to review and update the plans according to their comments. And we are also working with FEMA and our consultants to develop an approach for FEMA compliance. And we are reviewing the project permits to address any requirements relating to moving the target construction date to 2026. So that's for Building Bridge 2. The flood storage detention basin in Sunnyside has been fully functional since 2023, but this summer there have been a couple of activities going on. We completed our environmental mitigation planting at the site, and we also did what we call adaptive management. We noticed there was some erosion along the stream bank that was in the vicinity of where we had placed some riprap, so we had to go back in and replace the riprap to make sure the bank was not going to erode anymore. This is all now moving into our maintenance area, and is going to be talking about that a little bit more on an item further down on the agenda. And so we have an estimated project budget to date of $25.3 million with a project funding secured of $23.4 million, and we are required an additional $1.9 million. So we will continue to seek grants to close this funding shortfall. Since the last time we met, the Flood Zone 9 had a $4 million funding shortfall, and thanks to the funds that we were able to get for Lower Cormorant Creek projects, and specifically the one that Sandy's been working on so diligently at the lowest end of Cormorant Creek, we've been able to close that funding gap from $3 million down to $2 million. We are going to continue to seek grants. The next cycle of the HMGP grant offers a good opportunity for us, and for Building Bridge 2, we'll be applying for grants on that project. Would you like for me to go on to Lower Cormorant Creek now?
Let's see if we have any questions on this. Thank you.
At some, I've got a question. It was mentioned in here that some of these are estimates, the financial
That's true.
numbers. When, and later they'll be updated, but when will these arrive, and how long ago, these estimates?
I'm not exactly sure. I know that they haven't been updated since I've been here since 2022. So, I'm gonna work with my project engineers in the next few months before the next time we meet to update our engineering cost estimates. So we will have a sharper idea of what the updated cost estimates are.
Okay. There's also a mention that over the next year, there's going to be an evaluation of the 10 properties, 10 or 5 properties that may be affected with higher water levels, flood levels. It's kind of obviously, I think you have a 1 year to do that evaluation. That hasn't started yet, though, has it?
We did a comprehensive evaluation of the impacts on the different properties previously.
And the new modeling that was done, does that change anything?
We haven't, for the new modeling, I didn't hear that part. That has not started.
Okay. And that can happen within a year? I think that's the schedule you're on.
Yes, we believe our schedule is achievable.
So the cost estimates for the construction aspects are a couple of years out of date.
That's true.
And we don't have cost estimates yet for the mitigation that would be required for the downstream impacts. We have the modeling for the downstream impacts, but not the cost estimates. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, we're still working on the FEMA compliance, so we will need to evaluate that once we are finished with that aspect.
So the FEMA compliance affects what would need to be done in terms of mitigation.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got a fairly wide range of possible cost impacts that we don't.
There is some uncertainty. I really do hope to narrow down that uncertainty by the next time we meet.
Okay, which will be in January.
Yes.
Okay, well, that would be good. And of course, holidays are coming up, so, but those are numbers we need to have for sure, because the building bridge too is, as we all know, a pretty big issue. And, yeah. Are there any other?
You mentioned easements and acquisitions.
Yes.
Could you go into a little more detail about what those are?
Well, the bridge, there's a small wedge of property that's upstream of Building Bridge 2 and downstream of Building Bridge 3. And we are considering that as a potential acquisition. And,
Purchasing from the property owner?
or donate, they may donate it.
Work a deal out or something.
So that would be a full acquisition. And then, there is several construction easements. One would be underneath Building Bridge 3, which is the upstream building. And then there's, the rest of them would be either easements or would be a encroachment permit from the town of San Anselmo. That's yet to be worked out. Because the rest of it is in either the San Anselmo right of way or in the park.
And is there any real estate work needed on the properties that are affected downstream? In other words, is there anything other than mitigation of the structure, or do you have to somehow impact their properties in terms of an easement or something?
We don't anticipate any, but
Okay.
as I said, more will be revealed.
Okay, so if you can continue, that was the safer project that we've covered.
And so, according to Bear Creek, Granton Park Pump Station has been completed since 2022, and it was newly in service this fall for 2024. Let's see, the Lower College of Marin Restoration Project. As I mentioned, funding has been secured, and we will be going to construction late this summer because the permitting window doesn't allow us to start work in the creek until September, so it would be a little later start than we're used to. And the Unit 4 transition and in-stream improvements are, the plans and specifications are at the 100% level right now, and we are working on modeling we will be looking at modeling to update that in concurrence with what we find out about our FEMA compliance, similar to Building Bridge 2.
Yeah.
And right now, we are planning for construction of 2026. The grants for the Lower College of Marin were very successful. We had $555,000 from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We were also able to get the Coastal Conservancy to recommit funding of $1.65 million, and that matches of a NIFWIF grant of $155,000. So we had quite a bit of grant funding for that project, which we're really happy for. That actually allowed us to go to construction this summer. That was part of our strategy in holding off on moving forward with the project, because we thought this was a really good target, a good candidate for grants.
Talking about the mitigation for at least 3-4 years, and a lot of the residents still haven't been contacted. So I just don't understand how you can come here and say it's going to be done in January. It's a question. Is it going to be finished in January?
Well, we can take the rest of the comments and then we can see whether we have any further information.
Okay, and then the second comment is the flood walls down in Kenfield, that you're going to put these new walls on top of the existing walls, and yet we all know that in the EIR in Ross, they talked about seismic issues, and that's why they were going to take down the 700 feet of walls in Ross, and yet we can turn around and build on top of the walls in Kenfield. And that doesn't make sense.
I'm a resident in Ross at 82 Sir Francis Drake Boulevard, and I had attended a board of supervisors meeting in June in which it was stated that there are 50 parcels that are going to see a negative impact, 10 of which have water levels possibly hitting the buildings. And I personally asked, I emailed, and I never got a response. I said, where can I find the list of the parcels that are seeing negative impacts? I asked for the survey data of those properties and asked for what the exact numbers were for the surveys for 25-year flood events, 50-year flood events, and 100-year flood events. I asked where this information is made public for people to go and look it up. I was not responded to, and I still haven't received an answer. And I'm just wondering where all of this information lives, because I think it's extremely important for people to be able to see it and access it and see what really is out there and what really these negative impacts are. Because I know personally for me, my home is at risk of flooding, and they're saying no mitigation. They're saying that surveys are different. I don't have any of this information. And they also told me they were going to meet with all of the property owners negatively impacted. I asked when that was happening. I also think that needs to be made public. I know that a couple of my neighbors were promised meetings and they haven't had them yet. So they're saying mitigation is going to be happening, we're on top of it. I don't see how anyone is on top of it, because I've been asking for information and I'm not getting it, which is a concern for me. So I would love to be able to access that information. Thank you.
I'm not aware of these walls that you're talking about, so this is news to me that they're gonna be building walls, probably.
On the existing walls.
Yeah, in my backyard, basically, so that's interesting. I wanna know about the fish ladder. I know that they, at a meeting I went to last month, mentioned the fish ladder wasn't gonna be done a couple more years. We all know that is an issue. And the project that you're talking about in Ross, where the park is, I heard at this meeting I went to a month ago that that's been canceled. So I'm not sure how update this information is.
Since the wall business has come up, the EIR for this project lists over 2,000 feet of new flood walls up to 6 feet high.
Daryl, the microphone to your mouth a little more.
Now this way?
A little better, thanks.
Thank you very much. So I tried to find out an open house. I mean, I've been on this subject for quite a while. I'm sure everybody's heard me say it before, you all have. I think it really is time that people find out where these 6-foot walls are going to be. Are the trees going to be taken down as this 40, if it's still section 408 of the core that applies? Are the trees coming down on 15 feet on both sides of those walls? I know you're buying up, and you aren't, but you're approving the rights of way purchases, which are substantial. How much? Where are they? We are not getting the information. And I don't know if any of you were sitting on this board when Kentfield raised over 550 signatures opposing more. Yeah,
Closer.
that better? Okay, sorry. I'm being a little deaf myself, I can't really get if it's fine. That they were opposed to having more concrete. They wanted no concrete. Sandy picked that up in her project. But resolutions were passed. I mean, all of this stuff exists. It's very clear that there's a lot of opposition down there to added concrete walls, and nobody's getting a look at those walls. It's time. Thank you.
For the record, we have a comment from Ross resident Leslie O'Connell. Can you please describe where the wall of the concrete channel will be removed? Was this specified in the environmental impact report?
Any further comments? Questions? Okay. So, yeah, there's a bunch of good questions there,
Yeah,
and if you can.
let me just take, hold on. Let me take them, one project at a time. First, I want to talk about Building Bridge 2 project. So, I think there's some confusion about statements that have been made. We are targeting construction of Building Bridge 2 removal for the summer of 2026. And we believe that we can meet that deadline. We have not yet finalized the FEMA compliance approach, and after we finalize that approach, we will have a better idea if any other mitigation requirements are needed. We did go through a comprehensive, outreach program to contact all the people that we had identified as being seeing a rise in water surface elevation that was on their parcel. And we did that related to the modeling that was done for the CEQA document. We met with every single property owner, and that's completed. And based on that evaluation,
We did not.
we found that no mitigation was required. And I can go into further details on that if you'd like, but we won't know for sure until we're finished with our FEMA compliance